3 hours north of Albuquerque off US 64 is the town of Cimarron, where I am taking a historic lantern light tour with Jared Chatterley.
Cimarron is Spanish in origin. It's actually pronounced Cimarron, and it means wild, untamed, unruly.
From the business developed through the Maxwell Land Grant to the commerce along the Santa Fe Trail and the gold rush of the 1860s, Jared weaves together the storied history of Cimarron.
And the event that really made Cimarron live up to its name was known as the Colfax County War. And from 1872 to 1882, this was the county seat for Colfax County. This is the Old Town Plaza. It was built by Lucian Maxwell as part of his ranch headquarters. And it was very common for wagon trains traveling the mountain branch of the Santa Fe Trail to circle their wagons here in the plaza, to water themselves and their livestock from the well, and then continue on down the trail. So we are standing on the mountain branch of the Santa Fe Trail right here. Our next stop is actually this building kind of behind us here. It was known as the Lail House. Supposedly during the stage days, there was a woman who worked here who kind of functioned as a midwife for people traveling the Santa Fe Trail. And of course, in those days, infant mortality was very high, so children that were stillborn or died during or after childbirth, she would take their bodies and bury them on the hillside back behind this building.
Oh.
And as that hillside has eroded over the decades, there have been little skeletons found. So it kind of gives us appreciation of how difficult life was back in the stage days.
Unlike the mass graves, though, are the tombs of the Bobby and Maxwell plot.
And you can tell a lot about the Maxwells by the way these people were buried. Back in those days, if you were poor and passed away, they rolled you up in a blanket, stuck you in the ground. To be buried like this meant you had a lot of money.
No doubt who were the royalty of Cimarron, but we make our way across town to a place where some of the less desirable characters of Cimarron spent their time. Given what's coming, the moonlit sky takes on a more eerie hue.
So in 1872, this building was built as the Colfax County Jail. It was the functioning jail in Cimarron until the 1960s. Now, this jail does not boast the fact that no one escaped out of it. People escaped out of this jail all the time. Particularly during the Colfax County War days, if you had the right political connections, they would just, open the jail, turn their back, and you just There were people who were murdered in this jail. So the folks that live in the house here, people who have stayed in the RV park, claim the jail's haunted. They've heard chains rattling, doors slamming, people moaning. Having said that, we're going to go ahead and go on inside and see what paranormal activities we may encounter.
After you. I can feel the walls kind of
crazy in on you. Exactly. Sometimes I tell folks that people who died, there was no arrangements made. They just walled them up in the wall. That's where you get the phrase dead space from.
While some have tried it in the past, I'm glad this tour doesn't include a sleepover in the local jail. But if ghosts are what you're after, you can always spend the night at our next stop.
The St. James Hotel. The St. James was built by a Frenchman. His name was Henri Lambert, Henry Lambert. And he came here from France in the 1860s and actually got involved in the Civil War. He became head chef for Ulysses S. Grant in the Union Army. Grant talked him up so well, he became head chef for Abraham Lincoln in the White House. Abraham Lincoln is assassinated. Henry Lambert's kind of out of a job. He hears about the gold rush going on out here, comes out to look for gold. And that doesn't pan out. Oh, come on.
I was waiting for it.
So he went back to doing what he knew best, and with a loan from Lucian Maxwell, built the St. James Hotel. Originally, it had 44 rooms, boasted the best food and the best drinks in town, so it was the most popular place. It was also home for most of the violence. 28 men were shot, murdered, killed, died. The big question is it haunted? I personally believe it is. There's 3 known ghosts that haunt the hotel, 2 of which were Henry Lambert's relatives. The who's who of the Wild West has stayed here. The Earps on the way to Tombstone, Bat Masterson, Jesse James, Annie Oakley, Buffalo Bill, Clay Allison, Blackjack Ketchum. So if not the premier landmark in northeastern New Mexico, it is definitely the premier landmark here in Cimarron.
The 12 original rooms of the St. James are named for the famous outlaws who stayed here. Ask any of the staff about their favorite ghost stories. If you want lodging with all the charm but without the turbulent past, check out the Cimarron Inn and RV Park. And Jared's tours run through the summer months. Check his website for details.